Hi guys, welcome back. So the first game of Super Saturday was Scotland versus Italy. A pretty super game, 26 points to 14. Really close right up until the end when Scotland burst away to score their bonus point try. So a good game to start with for sure. And with my match reports, as always, I'm going to try and tell the story of the game because I do like that kind of emotional side, that kind of romantic side of rugby as well, but also picking out some of those key themes with analysis. So trying to balance the two, but I do like telling the stories of these games as well. And I'll start off with a bit of a question. Scotland today were playing in pink. Have any other international teams played in pink? I know Stade Francais have done it at a domestic level, but let me know that one if you know the answer. Anyway, from the off is a pretty even start until Fischetti makes it really clear to the ref that he's done a release before he pounces on the jackal. And a theme straight away with the front rows, the props with their jackal steals. I think the last one was from Schoeman for Scotland. Quite a lot of jackal steals for the props, so well done, the prop club. But unluckily, they do get a penalty. But luckily for Scotland, Allen's kick is pretty awful and it's hooked wide. That was an easy 3, went begging there. And there were plenty of nerves on show, I thought, from Scotland from the beginning. Obviously, they were without Russell, without Hogg. Maybe there was a bit more inexperience in the team. But anyway, a controlled maul, Garbisi and Bruno fluff their lines. It looks like Bruno is in. So Italy really could have started fast here with a penalty and then a potential try there. All Garbisi has to do is hit Bruno in the breadbasket. It's only a couple of metre pass and they're in for a try, but they have to settle for a penalty. So that could have been a big start for Italy, but only 0-3. So no, in the context of the game, that was pretty big, especially when Scotland were a little bit shaky to start with. Anyway, 12 minutes in and all tournament I've been a little critical of Italy playing too much from their own 22 since inevitably they have to clear the ball anyway. I can't really think of them going the length of the pitch from one of those kick-off receipts, and Scotland get back on the attack very cheaply. They're creeping forward. The Italian defence is pretty well organised as it is all game. Both defences I think were pretty well organised, but Scotland is just doing enough, getting closer. A tap penalty from Scotland and Jones works the ball nicely to Van der Merwe and it's a brilliant acrobatic swan dive finish. We see a lot of these now that the touch flag isn't classed as in touch, so that's 5-3 to Scotland. Kinghorn missing the conversion, and that's costly because Italy could have scored a try early on, then they give the ball back to Scotland. Got a good finish for sure, but Italy will be kicking themselves for that, and I think Italy will be kicking themselves a lot in this game. Not saying that Scotland didn't deserve the win. Anyway, 14 minutes, another jackal from the Italian props. Riccioni this time on fire. That's twice that Scotland have been pretty slow to clear their own ruck, so definitely ruck clearance in the first half was one of Scotland's main issues. They give Italy another cheap 3 points, one from a sloppy restart, another one there from slow to clear the ruck, so that's 5-6. Italy are ahead. Now, just a little note on Kinghorn. When he's played 10 before, I know I've written his goal kicking, his kicking to touch isn't that great, and it probably isn't of the top level. So that's kind of one downside to Kinghorn, but he is a brilliant runner of the ball. He's like an extra winger, if you like, playing at 10. He was very good today. They dropped him to 15 towards the end of the match, and he actually scored that bonus point try. So a very useful player. I don't think he's going to be pushing Russell out of 10 at all, but just shows what an athlete he is at the very least. Anyway, 20 minutes in, and we have this massive period, the biggest period of the first half of constant Scottish attack in the 22. I mean, Italy again kill themselves, of course, from their exit. This time it's every player in front of the clearing kick just absolutely shooting themselves in the foot, and then so much Scottish pressure, and from the resulting penalty there's just so much Scottish pressure, multiple 5 metre line outs. It looks like Italy might clear a couple of times, but they get it wrong again. Scotland look like they're going to be in, but they muck up a really easy lineup, terrible lifter and thrower timing problems there. But again, Italy just can't clear, and it's been 10 minutes of Scotland just camped in that Italian 22, and despite desperate Italian defending, they can't get out of there. A yellow card is going to be coming. 3 scrum penalties in a row seals the feat. Riccioni is off for a yellow. And then they have a big call. What do? Do they go to 7 in the scrum? Do they take off a back? They take off the back, the winger Gessie, and they're going to be weak somewhere. and Scotland are very ruthless on this, cost them immediately. Fusco, probably at fault, drifts a little too early, but they are a man down. Tuipulotu just taking Fusco's eye away, and Kinghorn just about squeezes over to score 12-6. And that's kind of the difference in the game, really. Scotland just that bit more ruthless. Italy can't convert, and that's Italy's story of the whole Six Nations. Anyway, that was a really bad blow for Italy because it looked like they'd worked so hard in defence, cleared the danger twice, but then they're 6 points down and a player short, so just tough to take there. A little note on Van der Merwe. He's not probably the most skillful player going, but goodness me, in attack, he's just such a beast. Stepping, power, pace. Even if he's marked one-on-one, he's still causing chaos. Every team needs a player like that in the back line. Really useful thing for Scotland to have. Anyway, just before half-time, Italy finally get a scrum penalty. That was quite big for them on 14 men. And quite clever, they actually shorten up their attack. They go to pods of 3, pretty simple stuff, not going too long in the passes. And this is a good slow grinding attack, but then a needless offside mucks up that chance there. So again, Italy just not taking a good chance. And that's what Italy have been doing, like I said, all championships. Scotland, I know they toiled for 10 minutes before their second try, but they got there eventually. And I think that sort of play condemns Italy to another wooden spoon. The Italian one-on-one tackling I thought was pretty good in this game. They get themselves back up to 15 players quite nicely. But one final throw of the dice for Scotland with the clock well in the red. Van der Merwe just lurks behind the midfield, which is quite clever for a blind winger because you don't know where they're going to pop up. And he actually pops up wide to create the extra man for the overlap. Stain could be in, but Italy scramble well. So good defending from Italy. It's the conversion in attack that is the difference. And of course, Xander Fagerson finishes on a nice jackal because the props have been on fire with the jackal. So half-time 12-6. Sure, Italy have conceded 2 tries and a yellow card, but only 6 points down at half-time. After not a great half for them, they'll probably take that. And the second half starts, and goodness me, I could just scream at the TV at Italy. They look so pretty in attack, but they want to do it off a kick-off, off a deep kick-off. It looks great, but inevitably it breaks down eventually before they get to halfway and just put themselves under that massive pressure for no reason. I think that's a coaching tweak they need to make. They're a good team, but they're not that good, so that over-ambitiousness, if that's a word, does kill them a lot, and it's done it again there. And Scotland say thank you very much, go through the big phases, grind towards the line, just opens up a slither of a gap for Kinghorn. That's all he needs because he's so quick, powerful, big long arms to stretch over and finish. 19-6. So once again, Italy putting themselves in those positions, but Scotland doing well to capitalise. So, Italy get back into it though. They pick themselves up, they dust themselves off, and a nice build-up on 47 minutes as they wrap round the corner. Fusco breaks, he roasts Schoeman on the outside, but throws a terrible pass to Gessie, and a few minutes later Fusco does it again, throws the pass off. I wrote at this point that we might see the younger Garbisi and Alessandro Garbisi on soon, and indeed, a few minutes after I wrote that, indeed they make the change because Fusco just too wasteful in good positions. In the scrum, Italy, they've been struggling in the scrum, and again, just as I wrote that, they changed both props, so that was something they needed to do, really. And the younger Garbisi has really done well, comes on, ups the pace. He looks a real talent, so we may see a starting half-back in the future of Garbisi and Garbisi. And whilst we're talking about Garbisis, just a little note on Paolo Garbisi, how he kind of pumps a little fake pass all the time when he attacks, just creates the slight hesitancy in the defence. Maybe he can overdo it, but it's just something that he does instinctively just to make it look like he might be passing or kicking or running, creating that uncertainty. So I do quite like that. Now with 20 minutes to go, Italy need to make it happen, but the subs are making a bit of an impact. The 2 Garbisis at 9 and 10 are making it happen a bit more. Garbisi trying to pop the pass over the top. That's Paolo that time, but it doesn't come off. They get another attack just a minute later, and he puts the softest of grubbers in. Does Paolo Garbisi, pops up perfectly for Allen to score the try they really, really need. And they could have really done with that conversion as well, but Allen's conversion was nowhere near. So that was costly again because they're away from 7 points out. But at least we've got a game on. And Scotland, well, they're starting just to crumble a tiny bit under the pressure. eyes off the pass from Tuipulotu, schoolboy error, goes straight through his hands, leads to an unforced penalty. Garbisi has taken over the kicking duties, and that's a good call because he nails it. Now they're within one try, 19-14, so really interesting finish. And another interesting move for Scotland. Kinghorn's been playing well, but they move him to 15 and get Ben Healy on. Why not, to be honest? You can't win the Six Nations, so let's get this guy capped, see how he does under the pressure. So I completely understand it. Maybe if the Six Nations were still on, they might have kept with Kinghorn at fly half. I don't know. But anyway, it definitely pays off in the end. But another of the subs makes a big impact. That's Ali Price, who intercepts and goes 50 metres, and they're nearly in, but Xander Fagerson seals off. And another sub for Scotland, Cam Redpath, with a nice strip. He nearly has an interception try at the end as well, but it was under advantage. And these teams are just going blow for blow now. It's a bit like a Rocky film. One big punch is probably going to win it. And Italy have that chance. 74 minutes, the last 5 minutes of the game look like they're Italy's. Tommaso Garbisi with a sharp wraparound. He's done so well coming on. Bruno breaks up the right. Scotland can't stop the momentum of this attack. And Healy, with a little push, gives away a silly penalty. Italy go 5 metres out, grind up to 1 metre. Huge shots from Scotland. Van der Merwe nearly turns it over, but it's an offside, so there's another chance for Italy to score. A great finish to the match. Relentless thrust. Garbisi Jr. looks like he dives over, but Stain kind of catches him and throws him back. But another penalty in the red zone from Scotland, and this is the deciding of the game right here. Tap penalty, but Scotland force the knock on. So huge defensive set from Scotland. Essentially wins the game. They could have taken the scrum and kicked the ball out, but they take the scrum and run it. Of course they do. Why not? They need the bonus point anyway. They can't win the Six Nations, so I think that's the right call. And goodness me, doesn't it work? Van der Merwe breaks up the left. Great pace inside to Kinghorn, who is so quick. That big long stride. They go the length of the pitch to score under the post. What a finish, 26-14, the bonus point. Technically, they win a shot of moving up to second in the table, but it's unlikely. But they've done all they can. But it could have been very different. If Italy had just converted one more time, they could have got the win as well. So Scotland will be happy, but they've also got to know they were run pretty close. Italy have to go and think again about their conversion, about their tactics from kick-off receipt, but there's a good side in there for sure. Lots of good new players. I liked Alessandro Garbisi coming on at scrum half as well. So good signs for them, even though they've got the wooden spoon. All the comments on that game below, and I'll catch you next time.